The emergency room lights didn't feel bright. That was the strange thing. In movies they always show hospital lights as blinding. But when I opened my eyes, everything looked dim, like someone had lowered the brightness on the world. I could hear machines before I understood where I was. A slow rhythmic beep. Footsteps, voices that seemed both near and far away. My head felt heavy, my chest felt tight. And somewhere below my waist there was a deep, distant pain that my brain hadn't fully decided to process yet. A nurse noticed my eyes moving. "Hey," she said softly. "Stay with me." I tried to answer, but my mouth felt like it belonged to someone else. "What happened?" "Car accident," she said. "You're in the ER. We're taking care of you." Her voice was calm in the way medical voices often are, steady enough to keep panic from spreading. Then I heard another voice. My father's. "Doctor, we just need to understand the cost." The sentence floated through the room like it belonged somewhere else. For a moment I thought I had imagined it. Then another voice joined him. "My mother." "Yes, because our insurance situation is complicated right now." The doctor responded in a professional tone I couldn't fully track yet. Something about injuries. Something about surgery. I focused on breathing. Each breath felt like my body was negotiating with gravity. "Your daughter has a severe fracture," the doctor explained. "We need to operate to repair the damage properly." Silence followed. A kind of silence I knew very well. It was the silence my parents used when they were evaluating something. Not emotionally. Financially. My father cleared his throat. "We can't afford surgery right now." The words were delivered calmly, like a line from a spreadsheet. I stared at the ceiling tiles. They had small gray speckles in them. I started counting them because it was easier than listening. The doctor paused. "There are options for payment," he said carefully. "But medically speaking, delaying this procedure could cause permanent complications." My mother sighed. "We understand that," she said. "But these things are very expensive." The word expensive echoed strangely in the room, not because it was wrong. Just because it sounded misplaced next to words like fracture and surgery. My father shifted in his chair. "We've had a lot of financial commitments recently." I could hear him rubbing his hands together the way he did when he was uncomfortable. Then my mother spoke again. She sounded tired. "Well, your brother's Europe trip cost us $49,000. The sentence came out casually, like she was explaining why the grocery budget had been tight. For a second the room felt perfectly still. 49,000. My brain repeated the number without really thinking about it. I didn't turn my head. I didn't look at them. I just nodded slightly, even though I wasn't sure why. It felt like acknowledging a fact everyone already knew. Because the truth was, part of me had expected this, not this exact moment, but something like it. When you grow up in a family where attention moves in one direction, you start noticing patterns long before you have words for them. My brother had always been the exciting one. The one with big opportunities, study abroad programs, special trips, ambitious plans that everyone rallied around. I had been the responsible one, the practical one, the one who was fine, the one who didn't require much. The nurse adjusted something on my IV. "Pain level?" she asked quietly. I shrugged. It felt far away. Across the room my parents were still talking with the doctor. My father lowered his voice. "Is it absolutely necessary to do it today?" The doctor didn't answer immediately. Before he could respond, the door opened. Another person stepped into the room. The surgeon. He looked at the chart in his hands first, then at me, then at my parents. There was a brief moment where he clearly understood the situation without needing a full explanation. Doctors develop that ability quickly. To read the emotional temperature of a room. My father began speaking again. "We're just trying to make a careful decision here." The surgeon raised a hand slightly. Not rudely. Just enough to pause the conversation. He studied my parents for a moment. Then asked a simple question. "Are you really her parents?" No one answered right away. The question wasn't loud. but it changed the shape of the room. My mother blinked. "Of course we are," she said. The surgeon nodded slowly. Then he walked closer to the bed and looked directly at me. "Your injury is serious," he said calmly. "But we can fix it." His tone was steady, almost reassuring. "The surgery will stabilize the fracture and prevent long-term damage." He didn't look at my parents while he said it. He was talking to me. "For the record," he added, "you're the patient here. Which means the decision is yours." I hadn't expected that. Somewhere in the last hour I had become an object in a financial discussion. Now suddenly the room had shifted. I swallowed. "Okay," I said quietly. The surgeon nodded once. "Good." He turned toward the nurse. "Let's begin the surgical prep." My father stood up quickly. What about payment?" The surgeon looked at him with a calm expression that carried just a hint of disbelief. "This hospital has programs for emergency care," he said. "We'll work that out later." Then he looked back at me. "We're not going to leave a fracture untreated because of a conversation about money." The authority in his voice wasn't dramatic, but it was final. The nurse began moving equipment around the room. Someone adjusted my bed. My parents stepped back toward the wall, suddenly unsure where they fit in the process. I caught a glimpse of my mother's face. Not angry, just uncomfortable. Like the room had shifted in a direction she hadn't expected. The surgeon leaned slightly closer. "We're going to take care of you," he said. Then he left to prepare the operating room. The door closed behind him. No one spoke for a while. Eventually, my father said something about paperwork and stepped out to talk with the billing desk. My mother followed him. The nurse stayed. She checked my pulse and adjusted the monitor. "You're going to be okay," she said gently. I believed her. A few hours later I woke up in recovery. The pain was sharper now but also more contained, like it had boundaries. The surgeon stopped by briefly. "Everything went well," he said. Then he left to see his next patient. My parents visited later that evening. The conversation was short. They asked how I felt. I said I was tired. No one mentioned the surgery discussion from earlier. No one mentioned Europe. When they left, the room became quiet again. I stared at the window across from the bed. Outside, the sky was turning dark. For years I had tried to understand my family's dynamics. To explain them, to reinterpret them in ways that felt fair. But lying there in that hospital room, something inside me shifted. Not anger. Not even sadness, just clarity. Some truths take years to reveal themselves, others appear suddenly. In an emergency room, under dim lights, while someone in authority asks a question that no one in the family ever dared to say out loud. Are you really her parents? And once you hear that question, the answer, whatever it is, changes the way you see everything that came before.